what did happen with Odell in Cleveland? What's your best sense on what actually did happen there?
I talked to a coach this weekend who I think is interested in Odell Beckham, and they spent some time late in the week watching him on tape, and they didn't think he was a disciplined route runner, and that he has lost that aspect, especially if you're in what you might consider a precision offense. And look, there's a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL who basically need you to be at a certain spot and are going to kind of throw it to that spot, so you better be there. For instance, if he went to Tampa Bay, Tom Brady is famous for, having a trust with his receivers. And look, I think if Odell Beckham Jr. went to Tampa Bay, and I doubt he will, but I think if he did, then he would get it straight right away. Hey, listen, if you're not in the spot that I'm going to throw to, I'll give you a couple of chances, but if you're not there, I'm not throwing it to you anymore. And my pet theory, although I certainly haven't studied tape the way a scout would, my pet theory is that that's why the Browns may have gone away from Baker Mayfield or gone away from Odell Beckham, if indeed that is the case. But I also think, Rich, that there are times when removing someone from a team and from an organization is a positive, no matter how good he is or no matter how much of an impact player you thought he was when you traded for him. In my opinion, this was, I'm not saying long overdue, but this was overdue. This was a guy who just simply was not happy, was not getting the ball. And it's all well and good to say, man, this guy can ruin a defense and all that stuff. I mean, when is the last time you've seen Odell Beckham Jr., play a great football game? I'll tell you when it was. It was over a year ago when Cleveland went to Dallas, and he scored a couple of touchdowns and was, just a huge factor all over the field. Then he gets the knee injury, and this whole year he's not been impactful at all. So I think it's overdue what the Browns did.
So we're assuming he's going to fall through waivers, that the contract will be significant enough to have him fall through waivers. Then what? Give us the over the steering wheel.
Rich, I think the logical landing spots for him, among others, Seattle is one. I know Russell Wilson really wants him there. But Russell Wilson has said that he wants a lot of players there. He wanted Antonio Brown, and they didn't get him. And the Josh Gordon experiment was little more than a cup of coffee. So I know Seattle, there's some sentiment that Seattle will look at him. And obviously, it would be great. But you wonder, with the problems they're having at quarterback, do they want to add a squeaky wheel to that team, plus the fact that New Orleans has less than no money. And so I think that's going to be an issue. If Odell Beckham Jr. really wants to go play in New Orleans, they probably can figure a way to make it happen, but he's going to have to play for no money. And I don't know that, I have no idea what the Odell Beckham Jr. side is expecting as far as financial remuneration, but I don't think they're going to get much money out of the Saints.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, if Jameis was there, he might say, why not? And obviously, playing for Sean Payton is without question something that I think would entice. But, Trevor Siemian did struggle for 3+ quarters in New Orleans this past week. So what about Green Bay? Is that total pie in the sky insanity? Doesn't fit their offense? Don't want them? I mean, wouldn't you think that Rodgers?
I think it's a great concept. Theoretic in theory.
Right.
And again, I think it really depends on what you think about him as a football player. And it wouldn't surprise me if they're studying Odell Beckham Jr. very hard there.
Right.
But I don't mean to be on the Brian Gutekunst bandwagon here, but their problems when Aaron Rodgers is on the field aren't that they're not scoring enough.
Yeah, right.
And it'd be great to have another weapon. I just wonder what they're going to see when they put on the tape.
So where do you think he winds up? I mean, what, you know?
I don't know. If I had to guess, I would say New Orleans because it's clearly where he wants to go.
Okay.
Or one of the places that he really wants to go. But I don't know, Rich. I'd be absolutely guessing, and that would be my guess.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.